Welcome back to PackersNews.com and Green Bay Press-Gazette.com as we continue our coverage of the 2013 NFL Draft. I'm Weston Hodkiewicz, joined alongside Packers beat reporter Pete Dougherty. And Pete, today we are looking at linebackers inside and outside. I know there's probably some people out there not really wondering how much interest the Packers are going to have at inside linebackers given that they restructured A.J. Hawk. But still, I mean, there are some intriguing prospects out there. I know the one jumping to top of everyone's board right now is Manti Te'o, given his kind of controversy off the field. All that aside, what do you think of him as just an overall NFL prospect?
From the scouts I've talked to, it sounds like he's a really instinctive, smart, solid player, pretty good quickness. But as a first-round pick, there's probably a lot of teams that don't consider him a first-round prospect because he just doesn't run very well. He ran the 4.82 at the combine, which is a slow time. And in the way the NFL is played now with between the fast quarterbacks that we saw last year, the Kaepernicks of the world, and the amount of nickel and especially dime that you have to play and covering tight ends and running backs out of the backfield, if you're going to draft an inside linebacker in the first round, you really want him to be a three-down player. And I just don't see any way that Te'o is going to be your linebackers on the field in the dime defense. So teams such as the Packers, I'd be really surprised if they had a first-round grade on him.
Looking at outside linebackers, Pete, this is an interesting spot for the Packers because you have Nick Perry coming off the wrist injury. A lot of questions about him, whether he is a guy that can get back and be an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense. And then you lose Eric Walden, who, even though he wasn't a perfect player, was a contributing factor on that defense for the last few years before he went and signed with Indianapolis. Looking at the outside linebacker kind of area of the draft, what do you think about the prospects there and, any of those guys that could make another jump to, D end outside linebacker?
It's a position I'm sure that they plan on drafting at. They've got to have more guys to throw in the mix, get a little more talent from outside rusher. They still could use, if they had another really good rusher on the outside, then their defense becomes really good. They're hard to find, but if they could find one, they'd be in good shape. I would say there's a strong bet they will draft somewhere during the draft. They'll draft there. The first round seems a little unlikely just because I don't think the right guy is going to be there. The one guy who would have an outside chance of being there would be Jarvis Jones of Georgia. He put up huge numbers, I think 24.5 sacks last year, 18 or 18.5 the year before. The one thing was he ran a 4.92, which for a 3-4 outside linebacker is pretty slow for pass coverage. But the guy is such a good football player. If he were at 26, I would think they'd have to think hard about taking him. The chances of him making there are pretty slim, but you never know.
Be sure to check out Pete's story in today's Green Bay Press-Gazette looking at the linebacker class. And until next time, I'm Weston Hodkiewicz for Pete. We'll see you later.